who is a 4-year-old person? Describe a 4-year-old. If they were going to ask you, describe a 4-year-old, how would you describe them? Welcome. Today I'm looking at fantastic fours or frantic fours. And the question is, describe a 4-year-old or who a 4-year-old person is. And the definition I have come up with is a 4-year-old is an open person, a truthful book, very straightforward, and they wear their hearts on their sleeves. They daydream a lot, zone in and zone out with their attention loud and full of energy. How would you describe a 4-year-old? How would you describe your 4-year-old? There are very many aspects to a 4-year-old. At the age of 4, different friendship and alliance are being formed, identifying different people, colors, and genital is beginning to be established, becoming very comfortable in their own personality as well, and looking forward to the big 5 because they tend to be the oldest in nursery, pre-primary school. Also, when you look at 4-year-olds in different cultures, they are beginning to have responsibilities. Parents are beginning to give them little tasks and chores as well. And this leads them to being very independent, wanting to be independent and wanting to take on responsibility. And the thing with 4-year-olds is when they find a person friendly, they find it much easier to engage and speak with the person. I found that I tend to have conversations with 4-year-old quite easily, from 4-year-olds, I will say, because they have much to say, particularly when they feel comfortable with you, if they think you're an interesting and welcoming person. So, friendship alliance, identify differences in people, colors, and genital developmental. For 4-year-olds, their judgment can be possessive and final, because of they're developing that independence in them. They can be very set in their ways, in their decision making, but of course you have to guide them in ensuring that they need to engage with people, they need to know boundaries. And with this independence, their ability to use toilets for themselves is very, very massive, because of course most of them now are getting ready for the big school, which is after nursery, if it's reception in your culture or your society, or primary school. So they're very keen on that independence and be able to go to toilet themselves. Keen on personal hygiene, wanting to stay clean, and because it helps with their self-confidence. They're very aware of who they are, coming into that independence, full independence. They can be struggling with parents in helping them to stay clean as well, because of they want to be that independent. Some parents might find it difficult in the sense that the child wants to be independent, but they want to help them in cleaning up as well. But in other cases, the child would not want to leave the parent because of maybe if they haven't had that self-confidence about their personal hygiene, they will feel a bit intimidated in with their other peers. So being possessive and final in their decision making, wanting to be independent, leading on to the use of toilets, wanting to do this all by themselves. And at the same time, if they are not able to do this, there is a struggle sometimes to want to be reliant on parents, or they just want to win themselves off the help of parents as well. Still talking about the personality of a 4 year old, or describing a 4 year old, they can also be set in their ways, set in the ways and refuse to be helpful. Remember, that independence they have, being possessive and controlling. So parents have to be very, very patient with them, and in helping them realize it. They're coming out of that tantrum, twos and toddlers. They're still toddlers, but much, much matured toddlers. And I always say only few parents discover the superpowers of a 4 year old child, because of they have that much energy. Only few parents can discover the superpowers of a 4 year old child with being patient. If a 4 year old is given the opportunity to run all the errands in this world, they will definitely do it, because they are busting with energy. And which is why, if for those of you familiar with the secret life of a 4 year old, which was run in one of the programs, it shows the dynamic world of 4 year olds, particularly 4 year old, how they engage with themselves, how they engage. There was another program about 4 year olds and the elderly having a relationship, just looking at the dynamic within them. So it just shows you the superpowers of 4 year olds having to have those long conversations. And I found that parents sometimes feel embarrassed about this. They feel like, oh, why is my child having this conversation? Or I noticed that they want to apologize for this, or tell them that, oh, trying to distract the child from having a conversation with me. It just shows you the thinking process of a 4 year old, the ability to be independent, the ability to converse. And I realized that even a 4 year old, is very hard for them to tell a lie. Am I saying they don't tell a lie? But even when they do that, they are puzzled about something that doesn't seem to be clear with them. They're very straightforward, as I said earlier on. So telling a lie is something I don't associate with 4 year old. Rather, they look puzzled about things they're not that they don't understand, because of they wear their sleeves on their they wear their heart on their sleeves. They say it as it is. I mentioned earlier on about being able to differentiate between people, colors. You know, it's all part of the dynamic of who a 4 year old person is. It is important for parents to establish developmental concern at this age. Whatever developmental concern you might have, or health concern, this can definitely be established at this age. Medical practitioners can establish or see medical concerns at this age, because in my previous video, I talked about ensuring that early intervention is important when it comes to any concern a parent might have. There are different physical development a 4 year old can do, and it's quite advanced at this age for a normal developed 4 year old. But particularly, they understand adult conversation. I watched a mini video clip on one of the social media platform recently. I saw it, and this parent was talking about how she has to spell out words in single letters, so that a child doesn't really understand the conversation she's having with a partner. So the ability to understand adult conversation is very much prevalent at this age. So this is when they want clarity on, you say something and they're like, okay, they get it, but they might not actually get it, but because of they have some understanding of adult conversation taking place. But some of the physical developments they do is, they can do certain amount of puzzles, like 12 or more. If you give unto them, they're able to do, like, great physical activities like jumping and hopping. And sometimes the big accidents children have start from this age as well, of being fours, frantic fours or fantastic fours, whichever one you want to identify them with. Because, as I said, the independence they have at this age is great, and this is where the parent is there to have that conversation with them, helping them to understand that there are ground rules, there are rules which have to be followed, with their inquisitiveness, asking why, what, they need to do this, why they can do that. So it's very important, that conversation with children at this age is important, because of their developing a better understanding of the world around them. Their intellectual development is taking place at a very advanced pace, even with all the other activities they're doing. So that is my description of a 4-year-old. So let me hear your thoughts. Send your questions to me. If you have more stories to share about the 4-year-old experience you've had, it will be very, very great. And one question I want to ask you is, what have you learned from your child today, this week, or this month? It would be great to know what lesson you have learned from your child today, this week, or this month too, because we can definitely learn from our children. Let's share what we've learned. As I always say, I'm waiting for your questions to come in if you have any questions, and it would be great to hear from you. Thank you for the encouragement. When I speak to people, or when I come across people say, oh, I've seen your videos, I see what you do, or that, sending me private messages, really, really appreciative. And your gifts are waiting to be won. More gifts are added to this month as well. So there is 4 collections of gifts to be given, because of we are in the 4th month already. So I'm waiting for those questions. My name is Renny Adejuwon, and you can find me at rennyadejuwon.com, and on social media platforms as well. I can be found there. Thank you so much, and I look forward to seeing you next time.